Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video is going to feature two games against none other than Blue Hair, who you can see on the red side, one of 201's greatest and, well, longest standing players as well as streamers. Always has very interesting comps that he builds, and I managed to get back-to-back games against him on my stream yesterday. So that's what's going to be in this video. Now, looking at the packs, there is my favorite specialist. There is that elite spec. But there was also an Amplify spec with Sledgehammers, which I don't mind too much. But then my chat reminded me that see Elite, pick Elite is somewhat my motto. So I had to go for it. Here we are, Elite spec with Void Eyes and Sledgehammers. Now, this is not the greatest, perhaps, starter for Elite. You'd maybe rather want to start with, let's say, triple level 1 Crawler and then buy 2 Void Eyes. But in this matchup, I can't complain too much. I'm up against Aerial Spec with Spiders for a start, Fangs, and he goes Void Eyes as well with the Energy Absorption. But that should be a pretty decent matchup for me. It's not going to be very easy for him to get through all of these sledges quick, and the Void Eyes should provide enough DPS to kill these Tarantulas, at least if he can manage to get some relatively early lock-ons. I decided to go for double Arclight in this case, because I felt like I didn't need the crawlers. The Sledgehammers here are going to basically function like chaff, and they're going to be the frontliners, right? They're going to stall time for my other units to do their thing. For the Arclight to chaff clear, for the Void Eyes to deal DPS. Now, with the late Fangs, my Arclights actually aren't able to lock on to his Fangs as well, but I still have Sledgehammers to help out with that too. We do get some early lock-ons on the Spiders, and so yeah, it's a pretty convincing first round here. Just gonna have to speed up, but happy about how things have gone so far. Now, round number 2, ideally I would start thinking a little bit about anti-air, because currently that's what I'm missing. I also know that I'm missing chaff, but yeah, I'm gonna need to do something about my lack of anti-air. And so I decide to skip here. Wasp Swarm is offered. I do need to think about it, but he already has some Fangs in the back, so didn't feel like spending money on that. Instead, it's going to be a very conservative round for me. Just double Fang. It'll allow me to start building some chaff, and at the same time, it can be decent anti-air, especially against that Wasp drop. Level 2 Fangs will be able to defend it. So I'm playing around that, and then at the same time, we've got some late Fangs arriving, which will always be useful. Now, this is the one part about Elite that is tricky sometimes. Having to buy level 2 chaff, especially having to buy level 2 Fangs, is less than ideal, because Fangs at level 2, they die just as quick as level 1 Fangs. Whereas level 2 Crawlers, at the very least, tend to have breakpoints against things like Arclights, and so they're harder to kill, and, you know, they have to fight a little bit if you're the opponent to get the experience from those Crawlers. No such thing with the Fangs, however. And have a look at this. Massive flank coming in. Blue Hair going for the quick teleport and then adding a Phantom Ray and a Tarantula on the flank. Now, the Fangs would have been able to kill this Phantom if it was all by itself, but yeah, with the help of that Spider, that's not going to be the case. Seems like we might be able to kill the Spiders, though. We do. I'm happy about that. Making sure that there's no Tarantulas left alive during the debuff is really going to help our cause, but we are probably going to lose this. Void Eyes locked on, Phantoms flanking my arc, left side has collapsed. Right side trying to hold on as best it can. I still do have a Fang Pack left alive, but yeah, round 2 there, we're kind of getting caught off guard. I wasn't expecting this big of a flank. And yeah, we do manage to take down all of the Phantoms, so that's good. But a minor loss entering round number 3. Extended range Phantom Ray here shows up, and he actually does pick it. It is an interesting card. You gain 30 range, but you lose 40% hit points. So the nice thing is, you don't lose any attack, which some extended range cards do, like the extended range Phoenix, for instance, or extended range Sabretooth, I think, loses both health and attack. So it's not a bad trade by any means. Now, round number 3, I decided to go for Farseer. And I was kind of testing Farseer because they buffed it again, which is a big surprise to, I think, everyone. I don't think this unit needed a buff, and certainly not 3. Because what's happened is they gave it 10% more attack value. The burst mode went down by 50, down from 200. And then the burst mode reload time increase also went down from 200% to 150%. So I believe that currently burst mode is 150 cost tech that increases your DPS output by 2.4x, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Because if you think about other like techs that do the same thing, they usually don't give as much, and they often have a downside, or a bigger downside. Having a reload time of 150% extra is really not that bad. You're going to go up from 2 seconds to 5 seconds, I believe. But that isn't, like, crazy, considering that you're going to be firing 12 missiles. And you'll see it later, because I will be clicking this. Now, we do manage to win the 3rd round there, with the help of the Farseer. I put down a missile on the flank, by the way, because usually people will put a crawler in front of this type of flank, and then if I only had a Farseer there, it would probably take too long to take down the chaff, and then it would die to the phantoms. Now, round number 4, we do get some unit reinforcements. I decided to go for the rhinos, because they're just good flank defenders and frontliners. We're gonna put them right in front of the tarantula, because as you can see, there's a bit of a disconnect, right? The chaff clear unit is on the right, I guess, if you look at it this way, and the DPS unit is on the left. So there, you can make sure that they shoot at the wrong units. So the tarantula will lock onto the rhino, and the phantom will lock onto the crawlers, which is exactly what you don't want to happen for the opponent. And that way you're going to buy yourself a lot of time, because normally speaking, this shouldn't be able to kill a rhino, and this should take a very long time to kill the crawlers, and so with the backup of this Farseer, we should be all good. Now, I decided to buy another Farseer. It is going to be a bit of a, longer setup here, because I have to buy them at level 2, but we've already got 2 of them. And opponent now kind of starting to mount an offense on the left side of the board. As you can see, Rhino doing well, Crawlers also helping out against the Crawlers that he tried to spawn in. There is still this bug, especially with Phantoms, where there's this visual bug that looks as if the Phantoms are shooting all across the screen. They're not, but it does look that way. Rhino left side going to die, but it did a good job with tanking at least. And the Farseer should be able to clean that up. Middle, though, seems like we struggled a little bit more. He already went for a range on his Phantoms, managed to pick up some levels 2. Level 2's already on the board. Level 3 could be picked up next round if you look at the experience that they've picked up. And now it's just down to Fangs and 1 Farseer. Okay, well, it does just take down the Phantoms in 2 shots, so not too bad. We can speed things up a little bit here, but I think we should be fine, unless... Oh, maybe not. Oh, Phantom actually does kill that, so it's going to be down to the Fangs, which will prevail, but that's about as close as around as you'll get. Round number 5, Nuke, Mobilized Battleship available, some big spells. I'd probably just skip this. I could go for the Nuke, I guess. The game will likely go long. I have 5,000 hit points left, but there wasn't too much to hit, right? A lot of the resources are on the flank, and then the rest is spread out a whole bunch, so it's going to be hard to get a lot of value. If I would pick the Nuke here, it would be mainly to get it back off cooldown, right? Expecting that the game will go to round 10, and then on round 10, I get Nuke again, and then hopefully the board will be more filled, and I get a better value Nuke. So it would be a long-term play. But I decided to skip, well, rather skip. I pick up the super heavy armor instead. It's another really good item in general to have on a unit. I think it's especially good on things like sledgehammers, so that's what I decided to throw it on. Having all of the hit points kind of spread across 5 units is going to make it harder for him to deal with, and he might need some like specialized sledgehammer response to be able to kill this, as opposed to me putting it on, let's say, a Rhino, and, you know, him just needing like one big DPS unit, like a Melter or, you know, a Sabertooth. Now, more Phantoms have shown up on the board. Flanks still are completely fine. Rhino, in fact, managing to get way further this time around without taking too much damage. Chopping that Tarantula. Even manages to take it down. Farseer right behind it. We added another Farseer on the right side from the looks of things. This one in the middle, though, struggling. Does manage to, with its dying shot, take out one of those level 3 Phantoms in the middle. But yeah, that pack is starting to get a little bit out of control. Already level 3, and will be level 4 next round, presumably. But we do manage to take a win, and with 2 Farseers alive, that's going to be at least another 600. Probably 700-ish with the Fangs. Alright, down to 3k. Looking good, and now we're getting more and more money, so on Elite, that's where things should get a little bit more comfortable. Of course, we still have some chaff problems. As you can see, I don't have that much chaff. And hackers definitely were a bit of a concern. But I decided to go for the Saber here. And I do pick up some more crawlers. So I was thinking, okay, like, I know that Blue Hair does like to play hackers every now and then. And against a board of Sledgehammers, Rhinos, you know, some Arcs, that could be a problem. So let's try and build a little bit more chaff, or at least some units with a lot of range. To kind of disincentivize him from going that route. We pick up the Saber, he does the same thing, and I decide to line it up with this Spider on the left side. He decides to go for Sabers as well, and he goes for Missile Interceptor to try and intercept some of these Farseer missiles. It's an alright play, I'd say, although we'll get to test Burst Mode, which tends to ignore the interception, right? You can easily overload the interception tech whenever you do this. Now, from the way the board was looking at first, I thought I was in a good spot, but then last second, he decides to swap the Sabertooth on the right and the left side, and suddenly, now he probably has the damage to take down this Saber, which might not bode well for me. We'll have to see. I didn't have any deployments to put any chaff here. I probably should have. Maybe a Sledgehammer even. But yeah, you can see here, Saber is going to move forward, but then gets distracted by the Hounds on the flank, gets insta-locked by the Sabertooth. And yeah, well, there goes my free unit, and his is still alive. We'll probably one-shot that Rhino. It does. And while the Farseer are getting some shots in, as you can see, I don't have the damage to take this guy down. 90k hit points. I really was hoping that my Saber would be able to do a little bit more, but yeah, the last second swap there on the Saber made a massive difference. I probably would have taken way less damage if that Saber was on the right side. Down to 3k, so he's equalized things in one fell swoop. And, well, now we got to go back to the drawing board. Heavy armor is a very easy pickup. We're going to throw it on the Saber. He does the same thing. He does have a level available. We pick up the burst mode. That is mandatory, but 350 for a second tech. That, again, 2.4x as your DPS is kind of wild. And, well, we do add a crawler here on the left side. Just got to make sure that the Saber doesn't get that insta-lock. Maybe I should go for range 2, but I didn't have too much money left. We do pick up another Farseer, I believe. Yeah, we do. And that's just going to be a bunch more chaff. Okay, 400 left. And I decide to level up my Farseer. I guess I'm thinking about what I want to do here. In hindsight, I probably should have ranged this one Sabertooth, even though I only have one. Because I might have been able to insta-lock and have an advantage over this guy. And then we just take the attack enhancement to spend the 400. Rather than getting these two level ups and then getting the temp range. I mean, temp range is kind of important. So maybe range on the Saber and temp range would have been the better move. We'll have to see. But yeah, look at that burst. And the thing is, the burst has a like decent spread as well. So you're able to chaff clear quite efficiently. And look at that, just one-shotting. Level 2 Spider, level 1 Sabertooth. Instantly gone. Sadly, left side not doing as well. This guy, now from 90k hit points, has 177k hit points. So it does take a while, but as you can see, we are managing to get through. Now, we'll likely die after that because there's phantoms behind, a bunch of chaff. But these Farseers are doing a great job, I think, of, you know, limiting the damage taken. But we are going to lose another round, and this is going to put us in a pretty dire situation. We're going to dip below 2k, getting close to 1500. Can maybe tank one more loss, but it's starting to get tricky. Round number 8, third pack of unit reinforcements. Opponent decides to go for the Wraith. I'm looking at this and I was thinking, okay, do I want to go Stormcaller to just go like full missiles, like completely overwhelm his intercept? Or do I need to go for something like Mustang? And I was saying to myself, my chaff clear at the moment is not ideal. And I probably should just pick the Mustang. It'll function as chaff as well, right? Like the Mustangs in themselves can sometimes distract enemy units. And then on top of that, they'll help out with any of the fangs that my opponent has. He didn't have too much chaff. He has started building a little bit more now with a bunch of crawlers in the back. And yeah, here we go. Triple Mustang. We have to range them immediately, of course. Mustang without techs. Pretty useless. And we're going to take the temp range. I think that's an important thing to pick up. And we're going to go for the Sabertooth range on this round. Gonna pick up a missile. Okay, this was a mistake for sure. Sometimes I just forget that my opponent has intercept on their sabers, and then you just put down a missile because you want to kill the chaff and, you know, hope to get an insta-lock. But yeah, that's not gonna work. Also, this Sabertooth is gonna aim for the crawler, of course, so we'll have to see how this goes. I do decide to put a crawler here on the flank. Not sure if I'm gonna keep it there. Okay, yeah, we do bring it back on the main board. I just want to make sure that the saber is like a little bit distracted because it keeps locking onto this saber, and that's a big problem. Opponent, by the way, already has triple tech spiders, and this is starting to get a little bit scary. Spider, really insane unit in the late game. Has no weaknesses in terms of chaff clear. I've talked about this before. It doesn't care whether it's loose formation crawler, subterranean blitz crawler, shielded fang. It can deal with anything, and that's what makes it so powerful. And yeah, the spider mines also just become a menace late game. If you just have like 5 or even more spiders, at some point it just becomes worth clicking because spawning free chaff is very good. Left side though, going great. Sabertooth this time around, able to lock onto his. Keep safe. And right side, a little bit closer. There are some mines there. Walking towards the tower. And phantoms will prevail. But it looks like we've managed to stabilize, and at least we will be taking more damage. Maybe we can... Okay, there we go. Oh, almost. Looked like that was going to hit, but no such thing. We get a debuff, and okay. Not a bad round by any means. About 1,000 damage there. And so, yeah, it's a very close affair. Going into round 9, I feel like games don't tend to go this long on the current patch. It's very rare for games to go, you know, to around 9, 10, or even longer. Round number 9, additional deployment slot shows up. Probably should pick that, to be fair, especially at this stage of the game. I guess the alternative would be Port Shield or Javelin. Okay, I decided to go for the Javelin instead. I guess my idea here is that the game should end in maybe this round or at least the next. And with that in mind, you're not going to get too much out of that additional deployment slot card, right? You might only get 2 extra deployments across the 2 rounds. So instead, I want to try and make sure that I can win this round and then maybe finish him off in the next. And we're going to do that by Javelining in the middle here, take down a spider, take down the highest level Phantom Ray, hopefully, and get ourselves an advantage. More and more spiders showing up. Bit surprised that he buys them at level 1. Feel like you should probably buy them in at level 2. He ranges his sabers as well to try and mirror my saber. And I'm just going to buy more Mustangs. I elite recruit them, so we're going to have them at level 3. Attack Enhancement 2 here might be worth picking up as well. I only have 250 left, though, which is not ideal. Okay, we're going to go for the oil instead. I probably should sell a sledgehammer here to get the second attack enhancement. Oil is great here, though, because it's going to slow down the right side, and that seemed to be our weaker side. Not too happy about how I played this. I think I really should have sold the sledge and then go oil plus second attack enhancement, because second attack enhancement is so good when you have this many Mustang. Let's see how this goes, though. Spiders going to throw out their mines. We are doing an okay job of stopping them, though. But man, they're starting to get so tanky, and the damage on these Phantom Rays is really not bad at all. I keep expecting them to have less damage because of extended range, but it's the one card that doesn't do that. And, well, we do seem to be winning, but it's not exactly as big of a win as I was hoping for. We're going to lose another Farseer. So that's going to be, yeah, I mean, about 1,200 damage or so. Opponent going to go down to 800. So we are on target here for a potential win on this given round. But yeah, not exactly. I feel like maybe we could have even ended the game there with a slightly different play. Might be worth checking out after this is over. Round number 10. Advanced defensive tactics now picked up for my opponent. I guess at this stage of the game, it might be worth just stacking the stats. You can see in the back he does have the second attack enhancement already. I do think that if you take advanced defensive tactics, though, you probably should pick this as well, because the defense enhancement here is simply better for the cost. This card costs 350, gives you 30% bonus HP. The second tower enhancement also gives you 30%, but it costs 300 instead of 350. I decided to go for smoke, because I felt like if it lands, it's very good, but man, look at that. Very respectful from the opponent. Didn't shield much this game, but he does shield against this. I have to shield up as well. Bit afraid of the smoke, and then we don't have too much left here. Now, something that I maybe should have done here is try to play for an ignite on the oil, because I don't have too much like fast chaff myself, and I am definitely struggling against all of these crawlers from the opponent. He does go subterranean blitz, doesn't have the second defense enhancement, but I guess with the card he effectively does. And yeah, now I sell the sledge. I should have done that last round, for sure. Let's see. Smoke not going to land. And can we break through? Of course, the high-level Phantom is alive this round. We instantly killed it with the Javelin last turn, but it's going to be there this time around. Sabretooth here doing a good job. Locked onto that spider. Takes down the shield. Mustang's doing a good job. We did pick up attack enhancement. We also picked up armor-piercing bullets on those Mustang. Felt like that was maybe a correct thing to do, just to help out with the chaff clear, help out against the mines. And when you have this many Mustang, giving them more damage just seems like a correct thing to do. But it's a very close affair. There's still 2 Sabres left alive. A whole bunch of Phantoms too. And they're the high-level ones. So Phantom will go down. We do get the debuff. But can we somehow take down all of the remainder of these units? Oh, amazing salvo there. So we do win, but it's not going to be enough to kill my opponent. 421 hit points left, and we're going to go into round 11. So the plan is kind of out the window now, or at least what I was aiming for when I took that Javelin. And now opponent does have the advantage of being able to put down more deployments on the board than me, right? He's already probably put down 2 more, maybe to put down a 3rd. And yeah, I mean, what are we going to do now? I decided to pick up the War Factory from the 4th and final unit reinforcement. And the idea was just, okay, I can probably try and push in here on the right side and get to the tower maybe. And I'm just trying to play for a tower debuff. I felt like with the recent buffs to Factory, it's worth a try. It's something that you will see a lot, especially in Heimamar games as finishers. You put the Factory in the corner, you add a crawler next to it, you put a shield over it so it can't get slowed down by a missile, and then you beacon it kind of diagonally towards the tower with something like high explosive, maybe even launcher overload. And yeah, this is an absolute menace in most rounds. Now on the left we have this level 6 Saber that gets beaconed towards the right. He's trying to realign it, I think, with my Saber. And then he buys more Tarantulas on the left. I mean, this is starting to look a little bit scary here. 2 blue Tarantulas, 1 more here in the back, and another one over there. So 4 blue Tarantulas on this round. And keep in mind, those are going to be spawning mines as well. Now, I decided to build a level 3 factory after all, but then I think, oh, I really wanted to put something all the way in the top right to hopefully get, you know, a little bit closer to the tower. My factory here is a little bit stuck, and it seems like it's unable to fire. I maybe should have beaconed it up slightly more so that this gun could have been firing a bit earlier. We are still getting in though, but oh, so many mines getting in, and the level 3 factory just goes down like that. Meanwhile, on the left side, things are not looking too good. I think my Sabretooth got locked on by his with that beacon. We lose the tower. And now we have an onslaught of spiders moving in. I really need some of these to die if I want to survive. 1700 hit points. I mean, they're not giants, but there's certainly a lot of them. Phantoms left alive as well. Maybe if we take down this Sabertooth, we can survive. I need one more salvo, maybe? There it goes, but it's not a full salvo, so the Saber lives. And now it's fingers crossed. And it's not quite going to be enough, so we do go down. A little bit unfortunate there at the end. Needed that Sabertooth to die, but sadly it took down the Farseer right before it managed to fire a full salvo. And yeah, the spiders are simply too much. I did actually try beforehand to redo this round with a level 2 factory and put some things up here, but it didn't make a difference whatsoever. Factory wasn't able to get in. Alright, well, I tried a whole bunch of things that I'm not going to include in the replay because it takes up way too much of your guys' time, and none of it worked. I tried to light the oil on fire, didn't work. I tried a whole bunch of things with factories in the final round. It didn't work either. I think the way that I should have won this game was, again, way earlier still, maybe even. Like on round 9 with the Javelin. At this point, right, the units were lower level, so a factory play probably would have been way more successful. So that's something that I might have had to try. Actually, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. Why not? This is the one thing I haven't tried yet, so we're going back to round number 9. And I am going to take the Orbital Javelin. I am going to go for this Javelin specifically. And then let's try and do that corner factory strat. So we are going to need the Lone. We are going to need temp range, temp speed for sure. Crawler here is mandatory. And we're going to need this mobile beacon as well to move it in. Now I need to find some money because I definitely need HE. If I have something very expensive, I might even need something else. I wonder if it's almost worth selling this guy to just have a whole bunch of money, because that would allow me to get into HE and Overload. Although maybe it's nice to have it on the board for now. That's a tough call. Otherwise, I guess I could do this. Just sell the Sledgehammer and only get HE. I really think that I should go for the maximum output here, though. So let's do this. Let's give you the heavy armor, I guess. And let's go this. And then, yeah. Just move in with that factory. I'm going to probably miss all this just so that we are a little bit freed up. But yeah, let's see how this goes. This is an alternative play that I could try and make. No idea if it goes any better. Sabertooth is locked on. Factory trying to punch its way through. It looks like it's just gonna die as well, though. Oh, so close, actually. Not bad. Right side definitely winning very convincingly, but left side kind of struggling still. We do get the debuff after all. But I think this Saber is a little bit too tanky still, and the mines here going towards my tower probably will take it down. Yeah, we need like 2k damage, I think, at this point, so it's still just not exactly enough, I think. Well, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's close. It's probably something along these lines. It's very, very close. Yeah, 1661. I mean, this would have been better, right? If we look back at the replay, 2097, and I don't think we quite did that much entering round number 10. Yeah, I mean, it's not far off of what we did. There probably is a better way to line this up, maybe like with one more chaff. Maybe we need like to put a third deployment up top right. But yeah, I do think that's kind of what we should be going for there. Tough one. Anyway, let's move on to the second game. I don't want to keep you guys too long. All right, game number 2. Here we are. Again, I get elite spec offered. So weirdly enough, it's a back-to-back game against Blue Hair with me getting elite spec. Yeah, I get my rematch. And actually, he has the exact same starter pack. Not the exact same starter specialist, but he does start with spiders and fangs yet again. So probably we are going to see some Void Eyes here at the start. And he's an intensive training spec. So this can be useful down the line. I think it's especially useful with things like spiders and sabers, because those units love levels, they love snowballing, and so if you can guarantee that they get levels, that can sometimes work to your advantage. Now, I have one of the best elite packs, in my opinion. Fang Sledge is very good, right? Fangs, again, are probably the chaff you want to buy least on elite. So if you get to start with 3, that's already very nice. And yeah, with the sledgehammers, you can often either buy double Arclight or double Marksman, depending on what your opponent has. Now, when my opponent has sabers or sledgehammer arc or spiders, like he has in this case, I tend to prefer going for DPS. Now, I mentioned Arclights and Saber and Marksman, but I actually go for Void Eyes as well, because I feel like, honestly, Void Eyes are really good DPS units. I still find them awkward in some scenarios because they can't shoot up, unlike something like a Marksman, so you will often find yourself still buying an anti-air DPS unit after all, like a Marksman. But yeah, the DPS on these guys is really, really good. I go for energy absorption as well this time. And yeah, just the small tanky units here are tough for these tarantulas to get through. Void Eyes on his side are not doing too bad, but we are going to manage to win the round once more, like we did in that first game. And so already here again off to a good start. But again, we're supposed to win this, right? We spend 100 more and we get 2 level 2 units. He did level his spider on the right side preemptively, so he'll be able to pick up a level there. We decide to skip, nothing too interesting in that pack of cards. And now, I mean, I don't need too much else. I decide to go for a Sabertooth to try and line it up with his Tarantula on the right, because I did see that he could level this up. Not sure if this is the correct play. I mean, Sabertooth is kind of the one-to-one counter into Spider. Void Eyes also can be good though, like they are very nice DPS units. So another play would have been to just kind of rely on Void Eyes. But I wanted to include a Saber, just because like the tankiness of this unit, plus the incredible amount of DPS that it has, should just be good against this board. And yeah, I mean, look at that. Already we're staring down 4 spiders. Sabertooth, though, does manage to find the insta-lock. Fangs on the right, slightly too far back from the looks of things. And yeah, right side is looking good. Left side maybe struggling a little bit here. Void Eye is able to deal some damage to that Tarantula, but keep in mind I am elite spec, so if he manages to kill some of these Void Eyes, he's going to get a lot of experience from that. Already Tarantula halfway done leveling. We will win, but can get scary here. Again, Tarantula levels can be a menace in the late game, as we saw in that first game that I showed you guys. Now, round number 3, have a look at this. That's a lot of deployments. Neither of us had crawlers on the board, so we get triple level 2 crawler offered, and we also get quad Arclight offered. I was a bit torn here. Of course, chaff is good, but I can already buy level 2 crawlers, and I can't buy level 1 Arclights, and I also needed some chaff clear. So I decided to just prioritize the deployments, in this case, which are a little bit higher value in my opinion on elites, and well, I needed chaff clear anyway. And then, you know, I either had to buy, let's say, level 2 Arclights myself and get the level 3 or level 2 crawlers, or I can get the level 1 Arclights, 4 of them, and then buy crawlers myself later on. I decided to go for another Saber here on the left side. We kind of spread out the Arclights, fan them out. One in the middle, one kind of here towards the left of the tower, and then 2 on the right. So this one is like in front of the tower, so we'll always go forward or to this shallow flank. This one is slightly further back. That way it will deal with whatever shows up on these back flanks, because sometimes people like to put crawlers there. And then also it arrives a little bit later, right? So it might be able to deal with late chaff in case this Arclight happens to die. I decided to put the level 2 Arclight in the middle, because the middle sometimes can be kind of a high pressure zone. Opponent does pick up the level 2 crawlers, so sadly I currently am dealing with this break point where I need 2 shots from a level 1 Arclight to kill his crawlers. Hopefully we'll be able to pick up some experience soon. That way that's no longer going to be a painful break point. But yeah, have a look at this. Spiders with range just kind of chewing through my units. And that's kind of the scary thing, I think, about spiders, is if they manage to get even one level, their DPS is scarily high for a chaff clear unit. We all know, like, how Mustangs can carry sometimes late game, but I feel like it takes a little bit longer for that chaff clear unit to get online, as opposed to Tarantula, which, like, you give it range, you give it one level, and it's just, like, taking over the whole round. Like, look at this. 40,000 damage or so. Does end up going down, but he got what he came for, which is levels. Level 3 Tarantula here, 2 levels available on the left, and already I'm starting to sweat a little bit here, as Advanced Power System is available too. And he does pick it up. That can get scary, especially with the mines, which probably will come out at some point. And the problem here is, again, Tarantulas don't really care, right? They just don't have a chaff weakness. You can't buy loose formation into them. What you can buy loose formation into, though, is arc lights. And currently, that's my chaff clear. I still need to range them. But already here on round 4, I'm thinking, okay, he's buying an awful lot of crawlers. I need to have something on the board. Maybe not now, but in the mid-game, I need to start finding something that can allow me to deal with loose formation. Because if it does come out and all I have is arc lights, I'm going to take like 2,000 damage. It's really that bad. So I either need to work towards Mustang or maybe Vulcan, something along those lines. Wraith can work, but it's a little bit tricky to play in standard, I think. So we'll be trying to find those, perhaps in the unit reinforcements. I pick up some Arclight levels. I pick up the portable shield because I think it's just good. Again, on sledgehammers, I love putting items like this on sledgehammers. I think they are one of the best kind of like tanks in the game, and they can often like perform the role of a chaff unit, and maybe even threefold. Pick up more chaff, couple crawlers in the back. I haven't got the money yet for range on my Arclight, sadly, so that's delayed. And yeah, pretty tame round here, just kind of trying to survive. I didn't take too much damage last round, right? We're still looking at 5k, so I'm somewhat okay stalling here. I've managed to save myself some hit points, so I can now kind of take some damage if need be to set up my board. And yeah, I mean, look at this. Spider's just completely taken over. This one, moving towards the 100k mark on this game, 51,000 dealt this round already, and it looks like we're not even going to be able to kill... Okay, we killed one spider, luckily. I was really hoping we'd be able to take at least down 2 or 3 if we had to lose. But yeah, Spider is kind of getting out of control here. Lots of experience picked up. More level 2s in the making. Intensive training back off cooldown. Starting to get scary. Now we do get efficient tech research, which is an easy pickup here. Nothing else really looks that good. Didn't feel like going for nuke or smoke. Again, if I do take it, it would be for the round 10 play. But again, its board is pretty spread, so it's not easy to get a lot of value out of the nuke. And it's a very expensive spell. I need to start getting some of these techs that I've been putting off. So yeah, here we go. Efficient tech research, range on the arc lights. Should make things a little bit more easy. And then we're going to pick up a couple more sabers, as I felt like I needed some DPS here to deal with these spiders. We're going to put 2 of them on the outsides, kind of pair them up with these late arc lights, and hope to, one, kind of aim for these outside tarantulas, and then maybe after dealing with those, we can deal with the middle ones. This one, though, is a big problem. Somehow it's not the top damage dealer, which is kind of surprising. It's the one on the left with 125,000 damage at level 2. Crazy stuff. Range on the sabers here would be kind of nice. I guess double shot could also work. And have a look at that. We have Burst Farseer now showing up. This was the game after the one that I just showed you guys. So I don't know if he was testing it that day as well, and I just happened to pick it the last game before he could, or if he saw how well the Burst Farseer was doing last game and he was like, I gotta try that out for myself. He is running it on the bar though, so I think he is aware of it. Not running range though, which is a little bit weird. I don't think you need to carry Missile Interceptor here. And let's see, how does it go? Outside Saber doing okay, but again, Spider is just completely annihilating my basically same level sabers. We do manage to take down the big spider. Happy about that, but yeah, my damage sadly died Sabretooth on the right does manage to pick up an insta-level, so we'll have a level 3. That's very good. Farseer with Burst, taking the top spot this round. 80,000 damage dealt already. And how much can this Sabretooth do? We do have some Arc Lights, so maybe tank a Burst, so that's nice. We'll take that down. And 2 spiders will live, but yeah, round 6, and we're already staring down level 3 spiders. A little bit scary. Improved firepower control system shows up. Yeah, that's definitely going to go onto that high-level spider. And I decided to go for the incendiary bomb. So here I'm just trying to stall a little bit because I know that my chaff is, or my chaff clear is suboptimal, and he could very well click loose formation this round. So what I'm trying to do is just stall until the next unit drop, and hopefully I can find some chaff clear in that, and then this round we can get away with a fire spell. More Farseers picked up here from my opponent. 3 of them, in fact. I decide to range my Sabers. Hopefully that'll keep them a little bit safe. We have 2 level 3 Sabers on the right side, so you'd think we'd be able to beat this. Although, it's a level 4 Spider with improved firepower, so probably like more around the level 6 mark in terms of DPS output. Fire does land, which I'm happy about. That should make it a lot easier to get through this left side. Burst, though, instantly connecting on my outside Sabers. And yeah, the Farseer is going to take down those Sabers like it's absolutely nothing. Luckily, the middle ones are doing alright. Not exactly what I was hoping for, though. Yeah, that outside Farseer just well positioned. Gonna take down my Saber, and so we're not winning the round as convincingly as I would have liked. Debuff as well. Level 4 Spider just, yeah, going crazy there. 120,000 damage this round. We might win, but it's going to be awfully close. And we're even going to lose our Saber. So 200 damage for a round where I managed to land the fire. That does not bode well. But round 7, again, we were due some unit reinforcements. And here they are, and there is a chaff clear unit available. We do have that Vulcan. Stormcaller is something I was thinking about too, because Stormcaller is really good into Spider, but of course is interceptable and isn't as consistent with the fire tech as something like a Vulcan, which will just shoot the chaff. So yeah, with that in mind, I think I decided to go for the Vulcan here. I just really need some chaff clear, and I'm not too afraid of the rest. I was a little bit worried that he might go for the Stormcallers himself. I don't think it's a bad pick for him. I currently don't have any intercept. I do run it on my Sabers, but it could have been a good kind of, yeah, free card to pick and try and force me to pick a second tech, which doesn't really help against the rest of his board. Yeah, I do decide to pick up the Vulcans. We put them on the outsides. We immediately give them range. I also have oil still available, so I might be able to pick that up. Temp range, very important. Opponent's already loaning. And yeah, gonna put some chaff here all the way on the outsides, because this Farseer really did a number on my Sabretooth last round. So you can see that we mirrored the chaff, trying to make sure that this Farseer doesn't like get the insta-locks. And then we also go double shots, because these spiders are starting to get really hard to take down. Even though the Sabers are keeping up in levels, it just seems awfully difficult to get through. And let's see, Vulcan's doing a decent job. Although still kind of stuck on some crawlers. Like, look at this damage. What is that? Level 5 Tarantula just took down level 3 Saber like it's nothing. Saber, though, will be able to kill that Farseer on the outside, and now it's well positioned to take down the remainder of the units on the right. Left side, kind of even, but again, we're managing to keep alive at least one Saber on each of the flanks from the looks of things, and that is enough right now to kill all of the remainder of the units. Round number 8, intensive training shows up again. No real need for that. I think laser sight probably is the best to pick up. I think I should throw that onto something like a Saber. Maybe one of the twos in front of the tower, although it could go all the way on the right as well. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this one was the Saber that lived. The one in front of the tower kind of just dies instantly. You buy 2 more Vulcans for the middle, and opponent decides to go for loose formation anyway. Kind of crazy. I do think that it's slightly better than regular crawler into Vulcan, because the spread of the crawlers will mean that the splash from the Vulcan shots won't be able to hit as many crawlers, and so it'll have to use its turn rate to kill all of the packs, which might take a little bit longer. It shouldn't take much longer, but there's probably a slight gain in chaff efficiency there. Let's see, we are now loaning as well, of course. Temp range has been picked up. Saber looks like it's been able to get some better lock-ons this time, with the fire killing the chaff immediately. Spider goes down. Arclight will die, but luckily the Saber is high enough level that it can tank that level 2 burst Farseer. And should be another good round. Actually, a lot of damage here going to come through. And okay. Happy that we've been able to stabilize. Of course, we did have the oil, but we're about like a round away from victory. Round number 9. Bunch of spells. Smoke, acid. Probably have to play around the smoke here again. We did see it at the end of the last game, and both of us had to respect it and put down the bubbles. And I decided to go for the Nano Repair. I think it's a good pickup here. Pretty cheap item. And I do have a lot of stats available on the board. Lots of high-level sabers. Opponent goes for Abyss. Now, I was aware that my anti-air was basically non-existent, right? We just have some late fangs. Luckily, he didn't opt to go for air earlier. Otherwise, we would have been able to... we would have had to respond immediately. But now I'm thinking... it seems like I'm in a winning position, or at least last round looked really good. I've managed to deal with all of the problems I had. So, let's make sure that we do deal with the potential air threat. And I decided to fix it with Best Partner, because that will spawn 1, 2, 3, 4 marksmen. Granted, they won't have any techs as of yet, but I'm just trying to have something on the board in case he goes air. Now, he goes for a level 2 Abyss with a vertical sweep, trying to get my tower there. He gets close, but no cigar. Marksman will lock on. I doubt we'll be able to take this guy down. It is a very tanky air unit. 150,000 hit points there. Probably a bit too much for my marksman to deal with. Vulcans will fall. Right side is also collapsing, so looks like he will be able to win. Saber doing what it can. At least we take down a couple of the spiders. Not too unhappy about that. This is just going to be all about trying to reduce the damage taken, although... do we do a great job at that? I'm not too sure. That's going to put us down to 1700. But at least, you know, we now know that air is a thing. Round number 10, more units show up. There's double melting point in there. But I'm thinking with the quad marksman I'm spawning, it might just be better to pick up the marksman drop. This is a bit of a funny interaction because you might say, huh, but you had marksman on the board. Like, why does this show up in the drop? It's because there's not actually marksman on my board, right? They're getting spawned from the Vulcans. So for the game, they don't count as a unit that I have on my board. And that means that the drop can still show up, or the unit can still show up in a drop. And that's quite nice because it allows me to put down 3 high-level marksmen, and then I double attack them immediately with range and anti-air. Other play would have been to just pick up the melters with range, but I wasn't convinced that he was going to keep his Abyss. It's pretty common here to just sell the Titan as well and try and like get a big response out of me. After all, he does seem to keep it. He goes for range and tries to beacon back the Abyss. So we'll have to see if our marksmen are going to be enough here. Fire is back off cooldown, so happy with that. Going to use it on the left side. And then I'm going to add another Vulcan here all the way on the right. So trying to make sure that left side is covered with the incendiary bomb. And then the right side gets another Vulcan to kind of help out with the chaff clear in that way. Opponent does go for Sprinkler Hounds, although he only has 2 Hounds on the board, so I'm not really sure what that's about. They're also both in the middle, so I guess he was hoping that it would kind of fire in the middle. He does clear a little bit of the fire, but not sure if that was worth the 200. Marksmen are locked on, or at least they were. But Abyss now moving backwards has managed to somehow break the lock there. How is the right side doing though? Level 3 Farseer doing a great job of taking down that Saber, but luckily we're able to take down that Spider before. And left side winning very convincingly there. Marksman now finally locked onto the Abyss. There's only a couple Farseers left. We'll take down my Vulcan, but the Marksman manages to finish it off. And I think this should be enough. There we go. Saber stays alive, and that is going to be game. Just about. I guess we could have let that Saber die. Would have had 2 extra damage to kill the opponent, but awfully close. And yeah, another very sweaty game. The fact that these happened back to back on the current patch was yeah, quite something. I was rather fried after playing 2 of these, but happy that I was able to equalize the score. Yeah, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below your thoughts on Burst Farseer and both of these games. If you want to keep up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.